Welcome back. As Moshe Rabbeinu guides Klal Yisroel through the Midbar, working with them again, training them again to give up their own logic, to give up their own wants and wishes, Moshe Rabbeinu is working towards an incredible goal. Moshe Rabbeinu wants to be the one to bring them into Eretz Yisrael, to bring them into the land that they could ultimately become again a nation of ultimate servants, that they could ultimately have a home, a bayis, that in that home they will do service that will be at a level where Hashem himself will come and rest within them. V'shachanti b'soicham. Moshe Rabbeinu, Chazal tell us, had he gone into Eretz Yisrael, had he brought us in and trained us through all these steps, he himself would have become a Mashiach and we would have avoided thousands of years of Golus. Moshe Rabbeinu tirelessly worked towards that end. Indeed, Hashem himself tells Moshe Rabbeinu to go and speak to the rock. And by speaking to the rock would listen and provide water for Klal Yisroel. In other words, Klal Yisroel would see that even a rock that has no understanding, even a rock that has no reward or punishment, even a rock that did not go through all this training, that did not receive a guide, knows that by mere repeating Hashem's word, he will go against nature and provide water for Klal Yisroel. Moshe Rabbeinu, however, knew Klal Yisroel was not ready. Klal Yisroel was not ready to live in a world where even the world itself understands that when Hashem says something, nature turns itself on its heel and does exactly that. Not only that, Moshe Rabbeinu saw the Rahman al-Islam, this could be a kitrug on Klal Yisroel, that if a rock can listen to words without punishment, how is it if a person in Klal Yisroel does not do the same? Moshe Rabbeinu was therefore willing to sacrifice his own future, to give himself up by not being able to walk into Eretz Yisrael. And he therefore hit the rock instead of speaking to it. Moshe Rabbeinu was therefore not able to go into Eretz Yisrael to fulfill the service, to fulfill the ultimate level of bringing Klal Yisroel to a state of service that would survive the ages. Moshe Rabbeinu sacrificed his own future in order to save Klal Yisroel. Because indeed Moshe Rabbeinu knew that his service was to serve Klal Yisroel. Moshe Anov Mikol Adam. Moshe Rabbeinu, while knowing that he was the ultimate servant, whilst knowing that he was the only one that the Torah says that Hashem himself spoke to him face to face. Moshe Rabbeinu, whilst being a human being that reached a level that when he wanted to speak to Hashem, he knew for a fact Hashem would respond. Moshe Rabbeinu knew exactly the level that he reached, yet Moshe Anov Mikol Adam, he looked at himself as lower than any other Yid in Klal Yisroel. Because indeed Moshe Rabbeinu knew that his service was being a servant of Klal Yisroel, of carrying Klal Yisroel on his shoulders, as he himself said. Moshe Rabbeinu knew that ultimately, as much as he himself wanted to reach the highest level of service, Hashem obligated him to be a servant of Klal Yisroel first. And indeed, as he passes on, even though he wanted to give over this mantle to his son, indeed, since this was not to be the case, he passes on the mantle to the next servant of Klal Yisroel, to Yeshua ben Nun. Both of them understanding, knowing, willing, and able to serve their master. And in that service, serve Klal Yisroel no matter what Klal Yisroel did. Because indeed, at this point, Klal Yisroel was not just a nation of servants, but also a nation of children. Indeed, as Yeshua ben Nun takes over the mantle to serve Klal Yisroel and to jump through the hoops for Klal Yisroel, he is able to bring them into Eretz Yisrael. But what is the first thing that he shows them when he takes them into Eretz Yisrael? They reach the city of Yericho, an incredible, strong city, powerful, protected by a wall. But indeed, he shows Klal Yisroel, this is not about logic, this is not about reason, this is not about what we understand. This is about what we're told to do as servants. This is not about that we have to now take out our spears and swords and go fight. We just need to take a shofar and blow. We need to make a kofas around the wall, do exactly what we're told. Imagine for a second what the people of Yericho must have been thinking. The first day, Klal Yisroel walks in, they walk around the wall, they blow the shofar, nothing happens, they go home. The second day, repeat. They go around, they blow the shofar, nothing happens. By the fourth or fifth day, the people of Yericho must have been laughing. And then on the seventh day, finally when Klal Yisroel walks around 7 times, they must have been the joke of the town, but they knew they were doing as servants exactly what their master told them to do. And indeed, as they fulfilled their service, the world stopped in its tracks. The earth itself opened up and swallowed up the wall. Nature that cannot stand in the way of service. When a servant is prepared to forego his own logic, his own mind and understanding and the way he sees the world in order to serve his master, nature itself stops in its tracks to serve this servant. Because indeed nature knows that it's only here to be of service. It's only here to be of service of the master, and since the ultimate purpose of this world is to have a being that's serving its master, everything in this world, as we discussed, was created in service of this being, as long and only as long as this being is working in service of his master. So indeed, as Klal Yisroel went through the steps of conquering Eretz Yisrael, they saw this again and again and again. Had they for a moment used their own logic and understanding, as they did in the beginning by accepting a deal with Bnei Givon, they made a mistake. But whenever they gave up their own understanding and they did exactly what they were told, everything fell into place. Because indeed the conquering of Eretz Yisrael and the splitting of Eretz Yisrael for 7 years each was indeed again another lesson showing them that everything in this world happens in order for one to get to a point, to get to a place, to get to a level of understanding that we're only here to serve. And if we're willing to accept that, and if we're willing to lead a life of service, everything will fall into place. Let's flip the coin for a moment. We were discussing a couple of episodes back the idea that not only as a guide will the Torah lead us to the ultimate purpose, but on a daily basis will the Torah give us meaning. Will the Torah give us an understanding of living and knowing that we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing? When one looks and tries to understand a little bit how the Torah fills up our day, how the Torah gives us what to do and what not to do throughout the day, a person can start seeing that indeed the Torah is here to tell us, I'm not here to let you doubt and waver on what might be the right thing to do, or what might be something you should focus on and what might be something you should try and pursue, but instead I'm giving you details, how to wake up, how to lead your day, what to think, what not to think, and so forth. The Torah as an ultimate guide of service is here to give us something that if we follow it, we can say clearly, I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And in that case, if I'm being a servant, I should be happy. I can feel accomplished. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to continuing this discussion with you in the coming episodes. Thank you.